Awesome. Well, we're back. Today's pick was Equilibrium, starring Christian Bale and Taye Diggs. I was surprised by the film. I felt like it was thrilling, had a lot of action, but it was very dramatic in a lot of parts. Like a very, like, kind of slow with the music and stuff like that. Some parts for me, but I enjoyed it.
I like Gun Kata overall. I mean, that's if you want to know what I thought about the film, it was an enjoyable film that wasn't great. You know, that's what I would think. It's a good film, I guess. I don't know. What makes it good is when I can't necessarily predict everything that's going on, I guess. I felt like I'd been in this world before in other films. It didn't do anything new for me. The Gun Kata was the only thing that was real cool about it. They featured it a lot. It was action, you know. It was almost staged kind of like a kung fu movie in a way. You know, the whole thing was, I mean, which Gun Kata makes that obvious, but it like wasn't super, it had a plot, but I don't know. It was,
ask you what makes it good, and you're like,
oh, what makes the film good?
You just like bashed the film.
Yeah, I did. I did.
Okay.
Oh,
I don't think you think it's good at all.
Yeah, no,
You convinced me that you don't think it's good at all.
No, that's what makes it good is it does.
Gun Kata. That's all that makes it good
That's
for
all
you.
you got. Okay, well I got a lot more out of it than that. I mean, I like the way that they do show that, like, a world of no emotions and everything. Like, they do set it up well, and it starts to, like, seeing this a second time, I try to, like, analyze the characters to make sure I could identify who was telling, you know, who was starting to feel, or just like they do in the film. They have to read people, and I was trying to do that myself.
I don't know, when writing a film or directing a film, you're trying to direct a film and make a piece of art, but most of your characters all have to act exactly the same. That's the idea behind it. So when you're making that film, do you then say, well, I need a little bit of emotion here just to play this scene out, you know, just to make it work as a piece of art versus hold true to this drug that takes all your emotions away? Is it more important to convey a scene, or is it more important to, like, say...
Well, a lot of the movie, they could get away with that because a lot of the characters in the film they were using weren't supposed to be subdued. They were supposed to have emotion.
Yeah. But even the ones that weren't, didn't they? They were oh shit! I think there were 2 oh shits out of people that had emotion, that weren't supposed to be emotional at all.
Yeah.
There were 2 oh shits that were given both by people that didn't supposed to have emotion.
Yeah.
So.
But does that matter?
Yeah, fear is one of the things. They wouldn't be like, oh shit, oh. They would be like, oh, this is happening, I guess. Because they weren't supposed to show any fear. He knew the one guy, when he throws him on the table, he's like, then why are you showing fear? They wouldn't say, oh
that
shit,
guy was a
surprise.
part of the resistance.
Yeah,
He wasn't supposed to have feelings. He was supposed to have feelings.
He was supposed to have feelings,
Yeah.
I know. That's how he knew he was showing fear. That's what I'm relating to.
But nobody picked up on the oh shits.
But the oh shit guys, well, they were showing fear.
Okay.
No, I agree with you though. Like, I feel that there was underlying, like, it was like you could never tell. Once you found out people weren't taking, there's more people that weren't taking the serum versus, like, just Christian Bale being the only person or something like that. You start to try to pick up on every character, what they're doing, and you start to actually pick up those emotional traits off some of these characters versus, like, the characters that are really, really, really... It feels like some of them just aren't taking their medicine, but they're playing it better than you. They're like, I'm showing you, I need to take you out so you don't turn me in, or something like that. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's way more people not taking their serum. You know what I mean? I feel like it was just like Taye Diggs wasn't taking it, the one guy, and all the other people that were in there.
Yeah, it was a society that was slowly waking up, it seemed.
Yeah.
Like, his wife started it
Yeah.
and passed it on to the children, so the children knew. And it was like they were waiting for their dad to come around.
Yeah.
And there's a thing, like, he calls him by name when he first enters the apartment, but then when he puts him to bed that night, he calls him Dad.
Yeah, my dad.
And so his dad should have realized, you know, but he doesn't.
Yeah.
He just, like, and that's what doesn't make sense either, like, why he didn't get that. You know?
Yeah, there's all sorts of things like that in the film. Like, I'm sure I I took some notes. I'm sure I wrote some. Oh, I said the light through the cathedral when he first came up there. That was cool design. I actually think one thing I'll say about this movie that I thought was good was like the design concepts as far as like the cityscapes and stuff like that. They were compelling.
They were cool.
You know,
I like that scene where he rips the film down from the glass and looks out. That was really cool.
Yeah,
the
orange light comes in. You know, lights him up and stuff.
I think Christian Bale's cast pretty well for the part.
Yeah, I was thinking at the end battle, the fight there.
Yeah.
That he had with the guy. I felt that Christian Bale's character, or not just character, but his performance was more true to his like gun kata, like his emotions on his face that he displayed with the other guy.
Yeah.
Looked like he was exerting a lot of energy to keep up with what Christian Bale
Yeah,
was doing.
he did.
Yeah.
Well, it seemed like to me maybe he'd gotten fat setting up on top. You know, and like just wasn't up as on his game as he was.
And that was the thing they said, that he practices all the time. So
Yeah.
he is better.
What I like about that is like they set this character up to be this super badass. You know what I mean? But you do that in like all these films, and it gets to the point where it's supposed to fight the boss. You know what I mean? It's always this epic battle or something crazy happens. This film was just like, hey, this guy's the best. Nobody's gonna come out and challenge him.
Yeah. Are you kind of saying it's like not really at the end? It's almost like climatic because
right.
Mm-hmm. There's no challenge. And it's kind of like,
it's like nothing.
Well, I think that's kind of the point.
I like that though. Because
there wasn't that big of a challenge to overcome.
Yeah.
It was just they had to
wake up.
Overcome it.
Yeah. You had to overcome yourself. That was the bigger challenge. Was overcoming this series and overcoming yourself and moving on.
You had to start to feel.
Yeah.
You had to like wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which is what we deal with right now in our society. People are waking up.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I thought that's why I like it too. That's why I enjoyed it the first time I watched it. And this time I enjoyed it even more because it's so relevant to our times. Mm-hmm. Like people on the brink of waking up, you show them that, and like V for Vendetta or The Matrix. And all these movies are pretty relevant to our times.
Yeah.
And even though you can watch that film and just see the gun kata and kind of write it off as like a Matrix clone or knockoff, you know, but there's a lot more going on there than just ripping off the Matrix or doing the gun kata, you know.
Yeah.
It reminds me too, it's like the new Tom Cruise film that came out, Oblivion. There's not a lot going on in that film, and people watch it and they're like really disappointed. But it's the undertones, the subtext that's going on that really like worked for me. And that's what works in these kinds of films, you know. You've got to actually bring something to the table when you watch movies like this that have the subtext to it, I believe. Like, when I watch that, I see the uniforms that are Third Reich, you know, and the flag was a Nazi flag, basically, with a different symbol. That was
very similar. It has all the same marks, just moved over a little bit.
The military is, like, very, like, relevant, or what's the word, prevalent in the community?
Yeah,
it's like they're everywhere. Yeah. So that, like,
it's a total police state.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I know from my, you know, Nazi history is that this is a society like that, right? So, but I know that because of my, you know, that's what I'm saying. You bring a certain level of knowledge to
I suppose I would think that
some people wouldn't understand that, and especially nowadays, kids just grow up and they see that, and it's like almost like watching Star Wars. You see the Empire is the same thing as the Nazi Empire, and it's the same as this. They do that. It's very stereotypical to
do that. Yeah, that's why it's like
common to replicate uniforms for the Nazis.
Of course, because they've been portrayed as
evil.
They're pretty much the iconic evil. They're the iconic evil the Nazis were. I mean, you can say Nazis and like 99% of people you meet.
I think it was a difficult film to write.
It would be.
Yeah.
How do you create characters that are emotionless and still have it be characters?
Ugh.
There's not really a whole lot of character development, so there isn't really a lot of character in that film.
Yeah.
They are very blank characters. Even the main character is a very blank character. The only times you really get to identify with them is when they bring the puppy into it.
Yeah,
and
the
then
puppy,
you're like,
which is
you can identify with it, you know.
The puppy.
The puppy. It's just like an iconic You know, it's a puppy.
Make you feel
it's
good.
like, are you gonna shoot a puppy in the head, buddy? You know, give us the puppy. We're gonna kill this puppy. And it's like,
You
I mean,
can't
it
kill
was
a
just
puppy.
iconic watching it.
You can't kill a
It's
puppy.
another one of those kind of archetype kind of things. Like the Nazis are bad, a puppy is
Well,
good.
this movie's not trying to go over your head.
No,
it's trying
it's
to catch
not.
the dummies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can understand it on the base level. I really think that's what I'm saying. It's like when you borrow that heavily from the Third Reich. I mean, that is a Third Reich society right
for
there.
sure.
Heavy. I can get more out of it with my knowledge.
With your
Yeah,
knowledge,
that's
of
all I'm
course.
saying.
I
Yeah.
think the more
You
you
don't
are
agree with
educated, the
that?
more you
I-
I think the
No,
more
I
you're
agree with
educated, the more you get out of everything. You know,
Yeah.
like the more you get out of life in general. So I can't disagree with that.
I can't disagree with that.
Yeah, the burning of the art, that was another thing, the Mona Lisa.
That
That's
sucked.
another thing where, where everybody's like, oh, that's the most, upper echelon archetype of good art. Da Vinci's
Right, everybody
Mona
knows
Lisa.
the Mona
Everybody
Lisa,
can see
yeah.
that, everybody knows what it is. This says,
They're not trying.
the
Yeah.
emotion's a bad deal,
Yeah.
Or like, that's what these guys believe anyway. It's like, hey, we're burning all the things emotional and the
Well, that was the
equilibrium
thing, yeah.
people
Art
are
is
absolutely
dangerous
terrible.
because art
Evokes
invokes
thought.
emotion
Yeah.
or thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they think they think logically. They don't think with emotion. And art invokes emotion.
Emotion.
Yeah.
They
You know,
have
when
no
I-
use
when
in
I
this
watch
society.
a movie I really like, I watch it because they invoke emotion. This movie, there was like no emotion really in it much. I mean, there is obviously, but it like
That
I was
puppy, don't forget
when I
that
was
puppy.
watching it, I was
Really
thinking
sad.
like this is like watching it the second time. Like if you fall in love with a movie, you watch it because you enjoy to watch it. It's kind of hard at parts to enjoy watching this because it's like this lifeless world that's
Yeah.
just not fun to be in. It's kind of
Gray, dismal, the whole thing.
so.
Unless emotion is felt.
They throw the action in there, and the gun kind of actually does add emotion and action to it for us, for the
Well,
audience.
yeah, I was thinking that too. I was
And
like,
we
okay,
do,
martial arts
you
are
know.
cool, but
Yeah.
every other art not so cool.
No.
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 I'm like watching. I'm like, they burn this stuff, but then they go into talking about this martial art, and everybody's doing martial arts, and then they go into explain, well, it's all figured out percentage-wise and logically, so
logic.
it's not a martial art. It's logic.
One thing that kind of bothered me was when he grabbed his mirror and just pulled it out of the wall and there's nothing's hooking that thing. It's just
No.
perfectly been designed.
Swear.
I
Well, there's pipes all
understand.
metal and colored wires back there too. I was wondering if they don't just have different shades of gray wire. No, I need the dark gray wire to put behind the wall and the light wire. And they had copper pipes that were colored, but
It was
all
it was just a weird scene.
So did he knock it off on purpose in the beginning?
He had a dream that night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just, the way I read the scene is he didn't mean to. He did. He
did it.
got it before he brushed his teeth, which he never does.
He never
And
does
it just-
that, but the
it
dream
was
was
just-
distracting him.
Yeah,
still.
it got him out of his routine. Like the
There's
point of
a
this
very
movie
boring-
is the idea that suppress you can't suppress your emotions. Your emotions are going to come out. That's what I think what the point is that no matter how hard you try, somebody's going to wake up.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to break through. There's always.
It was weird. Like, where was the resistance? They were just right there, right next door to him, in the library the whole time. You notice that? Like when they went and visited that room.
Yeah, the idea was that they were using back doors and underground.
They were underground.
It's like
Well, you can see their feet
you can
over
see
time.
that this is a
Yeah.
society that was modern times like ours, and then it's futuristic but when they find contraband, it's reminiscent of our times.
Yeah.
So they just built up around this place that already existed. Is what they've done, and that
So
they're
what year-
continually going through and trying to find contraband and destroy it. It's a continual thing. But I'd say too, it could be it's like a post-apocalyptic or a
Something's
nuclear
happened.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas
Something's happened. We don't know what.
usually, in films like that, futuristic films, everybody always goes to the city. The city survives, and everybody else withers
It's
away.
the Thunderdome.
Basically. So
It was
who knows?
21st century, right? That's what they're saying. They never really give you a year. Just kind
I
of
would
said.
say it would be, but the cars were pretty much reminiscent of what we had.
Yeah.
Motorcycles, everything was pretty. It wasn't like it
Right,
moved
gear.
on very far.
No.
It was just a few generations. That's what I'm saying. If that guy was meaning by saying I still have dreams, or I remember my dreams, saying that he was old enough to remember,
Yeah.
and that's we're looking at 60, 50 years or something.
Yeah. probably 50 years ago.
They've got rid of emotion in this society. They haven't like really advanced anywhere. They're using regular guns, normal. I don't know. There's nothing really that futuristic about the film, though.
Yeah, it's not over the top. They're not like flying cars or anything crazy.
There's nothing. I mean, name one thing that's modern. Like,
Well,
that's too far. Not too far, but you know what I'm
I
saying?
don't know if it's intentional, but even for a society like this, they wouldn't progress much further in those kind of areas because there's not going to be insight to design and stuff. Everything's
Yeah,
going to
if you have what you need, then
there's
you
no
won't-
reason to
yeah,
progress.
we wouldn't have suicides, would we? If we didn't have
No,
emotions?
you would not have suicides.
No.
No. You
Not
gotta take the bad with the
purposeful.
good. It's a double-edged sword, you know? That's, I think, the whole point of it. You just gotta discipline your emotions. Don't go off and kill yourself, you know? Discipline
You just
your
gotta
emotions.
discipline yourself.
Yeah,
Not,
I think that's...
I mean, your emotions, of course, but
Yeah.
that comes along with it. And I think that's what the martial arts about, right? Is that it's a high form of discipline.
yeah.
So those people are more likely to be able to control themselves when they do find their emotions, right? I mean, that's what this film exhibits. That this guy's at the top of his thing. He
Yeah.
finally gets emotions, but he's got this training, and when he goes into it, that's when he cuts his emotions off. And that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So it is the martial art that controls his emotion. It's an art that controls his emotion.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to agree with me there. That's what I'm saying I see. Or he's learned just to shut his emotions off. It's not the martial art at all. I think it's a really good film, honestly, for what it's doing, what it's trying to do. It's kind of like when Atlas Shrugged. It's like the same thing. I feel because of I think what it is, honestly, is just the message of the film is what is strong enough that makes it a good film.
Okay.
A good, for me.
Yeah, it was compelling enough.
Yeah.
But it was a good
You could
piece of work.
take that film, or take the action and all that stuff, and just take out that whole thing about emotions, and you don't have a film. I mean, you don't have that film.
Yeah.
And that's what some films are like to me. I just see a bunch of, I hear a bunch of dialogue, see a bunch of flashiness, a bunch of choreography, but I walk away not getting anything out of it. Whereas that movie, I at least get something
You got
out of
something
it. Yeah.
out of it.
So.
Well, it is really relevant, so, you know.
Yeah, it is, because
I don't
in
know
our
that
society,
everybody would
we
get that out of
have
that.
people on
So,
antidepressants and
let's go back
stuff.
to what you're
And
saying.
antidepressants, it takes your emotions away.
It does.
And that's what that society is. The whole society is not only, they're all on it, and they're all forced to take it, basically, monitored. Everybody watches each other. Children watch their parents. Parents have to be on, alert, all the time, because it is a complete police state.
Yeah. So much that your prison is with you all the time.
Yeah.
You self-induce yourself into that prison.
It reminds me a lot of George Lucas's THX 1138.
That
Way
film
too bad.
was like generic in a lot of its scenes and stuff like that, though. And that's what.
It might feel generic to you, but it's
because I've seen all this other
it's
stuff.
The society. There's nothing. Why should it not feel generic, Dave? This is a society that doesn't have emotions. It is a generic society. It should feel generic to you. It's supposed to be that way. It's not a fault that it feels generic, because that's a
Not
society.
the society. I'm talking about
filming.
camera angles. I'm talking about there was just there were certain things in the cinematography that just felt generic as well, all around.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I didn't know we were talking about the filmography or the way it was filmed.
I'm talking about the whole thing. It's just when I'm talking about it, the film being contrived, it was contrived in the writing. It was in.
Yeah, you just kept talking about the writing. I
Okay.
didn't know you were saying it felt contrived. in
The whole
filmmaking.
thing does. I feel like when I'm watching this movie, and like I said, if I pulled myself out of time and hadn't seen any other movies, when I watched this, it would seem good. I already thought it was good, actually. I said I thought the film was good.
You said you thought it was good, and then when you went to explain, you kind of bashed the
Yeah,
film.
I guess I did.
Yeah.
So-
I guess I did.
Like, it was good, but it sucked.
No,
Let me tell you how
no.
much it sucked.
I just can't rate it as an excellent film. I'm not going to say that this film is excellent.
I think the film is really good,
Yeah.
and I recommend it. I enjoyed it myself.
I'd recommend it.
Watching it. So.
I would definitely
I
recommend
think it's
the
worth a
film.
watch. I mean, if you watch it, you're going to get something from it. You're going to
It's
think it's
enjoyable.
awesome. You're going to think it's cool. You're going to have an open mind, and see it for what it is, as far as like the Nazi stuff you're talking about, and the North Korea things that I think about, the suppressing of the society, and you gotta take what you want from it.
I think I want to do Forrest Gump.
So I guess Forrest Gump next week.
Yeah, Forrest Gump.
All right, awesome. See ya.